So welcome back to NFT Talks podcast. Today, I'm here with somebody from the sports industry, a successful lady, a British champion in track and field. She's doing so well, but she's also into the NFT space, and she's the founder of AfroChicks, which is amazing. And it's an amazing project because it entwines her skills into the NFT space. So I'm excited to hear about that. But welcome, Naomi. How are you doing?
Oh, I'm really good. Thank you, Sean. Thanks for having me. I'm excited to chat all about Web3 and what I've been up to.
Yeah, I'm excited to hear, man, because I might follow the tweets and I follow a bit of the information that you put out there, and I've looked myself, and there are some exciting things. And I think there's one thing about NFTs, and I think obviously away from the art, I think it solves problems. And the way you're using it, you're solving a problem that a lot of people may not even know about, but people in your position may think it's a thing that needs to be solved. So that's why I think it's great. Before we jump into it, like let's set the scene. Like I was like, tell me your background first of all, and how did you end up getting to here, and then we can talk about the problems that you've seen.
Yeah, so my name's Naomi Metzger. I'm the 9 times British triple jump champion. I'm 24 and I'm from Manchester. And I got into the NFT space because I lost my sponsor. I found out at the beginning of the year. So I needed to come up with a solution of how I'm going to sort of continue to fund my athletics journey and hopefully help other athletes along the way through NFTs. So it was actually because my husband had COVID, so we were locked up for a week. So I thought, right, let me learn a skill. I need to learn something since I've got a week, and I'm not ill. He's ill, but you know, let me take some time to learn a skill. So I already came across NFTs just because of all the news articles about the apes and the punks and everything that was sort of going on. So I thought, if this is a way that people are making money, maybe this is a way that I can actually fund my athletics journey without the stress of not knowing what I'm going to do to continue competing and training at the highest level. So I just started doodling. I studied graphics. I did it as a GCSE. So I thought, I'm going to use my Adobe Illustrator and all them skills I learned all them years ago and use it now to see if I can, make something work. So that's kind of how I made AfroChicks. I decided to call it AfroChicks because I had my afro out at the time, and I thought, let me just make something inspired by me first and see if other people can relate to that. And then let's make it fun. Let's make it colorful. And that's kind of how it all started.
See that I know you talk about it very blasé, like I just did this, I just did that, but you have done so much, and I feel that is so important because you're covering so much things, that important things, like to set the scene for an athlete in your position. You're a successful athlete, and you lost your sponsor. Is this something that happened? Why did you lose your sponsor? Is this something that happens regularly between young athletes up and coming to get on the big stage? Is that an issue that happens across the board?
Yeah, I think must be over. I think it was 36 British athletes lost their sponsorship after the Olympics, and that's just in track and field. So I don't even know the stats across all the sports, and that was just with one brand. So it's just as the sort of Olympic cycle ends, a lot of brands want to change the strategy. They might want to focus on different events, different sports, and then athletes are sort of left a little bit in the dark because they don't really know what that is going to happen. And before you know it, the contract's ended, nothing's renewed, nothing's been said, and you think, oh, I've lost my sponsor. I guess I'm not sponsored anymore. So how sponsorship works is that a brand will get in touch with the athlete through the agent, and they'll sign, and then athletes can get bonuses. So for every performance you do, such as winning a British Championships or qualifying for a Commonwealth Games, you'll get some money for that. And then also on top of that, the things that you do, the times you run, the distances you jump, you'll get bonuses for that. So without that, that means there's no payment basically in the sport, apart from if you win at a Diamond League or Continental Tour, which are quite few and far between and hard to get into if you don't have a top agent. So a lot of athletes are left either having to get a full-time job on the side, not even a part-time, a full-time job. I know so many athletes with full-time jobs on the side, and athletics sort of has to take a back burner. So there's a lot of really talented athletes, but because they don't have that funding, they can't take it full time. Luckily, I am on British Athletics funding, but I get 10,000 for the year, which I'm very grateful for. But we know that's below minimum wage, so it's still not enough to really survive. So that's why I really had to find a solution of how I'm going to be able to fund my whole athletics journey.
Because I'm assuming that athletics is your thing. You like, this is what I'm passionate about. This is what I want to do. But it's also about surviving and living and getting by day to day. And like I mean, maybe other people may be under the impression that you think because you're on the GBT, you must be doing well for yourself and everything must be covered. I mean, so is that the case for a lot? So when you're top, it's only when you win you get money, literally for every athlete. Because I was thought sponsorship, but they would give you money to wear the brand, or is this just for young athletes?
You get money to wear the brand, but a bulk of it is for your performances, especially if you're not an athlete who's, you know, maybe number one in the world. Athletes who sort of are up and coming, a lot of them are on sort of kit contracts where they'll only get kit, or kit contracts with bonuses, where they just get those performance bonuses, or they'll sign on a fee for the year. But the main thing's always those bonuses. That's kind of what it motivates you, and you also know that if I can achieve this standard, I'm gonna be set, and that really helps. Takes that stress off your mind as well.
You're a British champion, like, so how did it happen to you? Does anyone else stand a chance? Like,
I mean, I think, as I said, it's how the brand sort of changed their strategy. They want to focus on different events, so there's not much more that can be said. You know, maybe there's other brands out there who are up for it, and you know, a lot of people focus on the shoe brands, and of course there's millions of brands out there who maybe didn't know this and want to sort of think, wait, you know, I own a plumbing company, you know, anybody can sponsor an athlete at this space on the kit that they can wear. So I think it's something that a lot of people aren't really aware of, which I would love to educate more people on it as well.
Okay, so just get back, keep on the story. You lost the sponsorship. Then what's happening then? What does that look like for you? Because now you're not getting the support for the kits. You're not getting bonuses when you win. You're working a full-time job. COVID's hit. So all these things. I know we laugh about it now, but I guess it would have been a massive impact on your career at that point, right?
Yeah, I think it's just, when I worked a full-time job, I worked for a football charity. I was working with kids at risk of exclusion. So although I loved it, it's an emotional toll, because you're trying to focus on your competition, but you're like, is this kid going to be excluded? Can I help him? You know, I need to give him that emotional support. So it's so hard to focus. And then if you're doing a different job, it's hard to balance the time. So you can do a job you enjoy, but it's emotional, you know, it's a circle that you just can't really win. So it was really difficult. I'd say on my mental health, it was difficult, you know, seeing my worth as an athlete. Am I not good enough? What else do I need to do? You start doubting yourself. You think, should I continue with the sport? But there's just something in you that thinks, no, you represent your country, that feeling sort of irreplaceable, and the feeling you get of getting a new personal best and things like that. You know, you can't replace it. So I still wanted to find a way, you know, that I could still continue doing the sport, even if it meant I had to work again or whatever. I just wanted to continue doing the sport, you know, but I just knew that if I got a job, a full-time job, I would not have that same commitment to the athletics, which I need to get to the top.
Yeah, and that's that true passion coming through, isn't it, for something that you really love. But then, the amazing thing that I feel that is so important, I think that I've seen other people do it within the space, is that you've tapped into something, a skill that you've had on the back burner to kind of facilitate you to get some kind of funding. So you've seen this NFT thing in regards to like the apes and whatnot, and what are you thinking then at that point? Like, because not a lot of people get it straight away. So how did you get it, and what was your kind of perception of what was going on?
So I just knew that these apes and cartoon images of animals and all sorts were selling and being traded, and there was a lot about ownership. And I was kind of thinking, okay, what can I do as an athlete to sort of hop in here? And at first I wanted to make something specifically for athletes, and maybe just like draw different athletes and then just kind of sell it. But then I thought, no, I really want to tap into that ownership and have people feel part of a community, because that's what I noticed. There was a lot of community. It was like not against each other, but you saw the distinct ape PFPs and you saw the punks.
Tribal, I agree. Yeah, it's very tribal.
It's tribal. So I thought, you know, I want to make something that people would change their PFPs to it. They want to get behind me with my competitions, and really just, you know, some people don't want to dox themselves. But from the beginning, I'm like, I'm Naomi, I'm an athlete, and this is what I'm doing. So when I first started the project, I remember I had 9 followers, and and one of the first communities that sort of came across was called the Onaji community, and that was just a lot of Black people basically in one space. The PFPs were of different Black cartoon images, and I thought, oh, this looks quite interesting. So I said to my husband, right, am I crazy, but should I spend, I think it was about $60 or something, should I spend $60 on this cartoon picture? He was like, go for it, you never know. So I purchased it, and then because I purchased it, I could go in their space, and then 2 people from that space bought an AfroChick that same night. So with my 9 followers and just investing in that one project, 2 people had bought into my project, and then it just started to snowball from there. So I it kind of, it's a bit of a risk, but when you see that community and you feel, I feel part of this, let me just, I don't know much about it, but let me just try. And it really paid off for me. So that really kickstarted the journey.
So what do you think it was different about your project for people to kind of be involved? Like I guess you've spoken to your community. Have they given you any feedback and said, why did they choose your project? What was it supporting you? Was it the art? Was it the diversity, having a female in the space? Was that something like, what was it?
I think it was all of them. People loved the story of how I lost my sponsor, and they just wanted to help me out as an athlete. They loved the diversity of the drawings, and how at the time there wasn't too many Black women making sort of PFP style projects, representing Afro hair and that type of thing. So I really wanted to tap into that. So a lot of Black women, a lot of Black men bought it for the daughters, bought it for the cousins, nieces, nephews, not nephews, nieces, but bought it for the family members, and it was a real sort of family friendly style of NFT that they just loved. And then also, because I'm quite active on Twitter with the spaces, I ran a space, I still do, with women in NFTs, celebrating Black women and non-binary people in NFTs. So every week, about 300 Black women in the NFT space would tune in, and I'd interview them and share the projects and things like that. So I think people just loved loved what I was doing as an athlete, but also within the space.
You didn't hold back, didn't you? You got embedded in the community, and you got in and stuck in, and that's what it's about. Like, one thing I say to people when they enter into space, forget about the money you can make. Be involved in the conversation, speak to people, support other people, because they're the same people that are going to support you when you put something out. And it's as simple as that. So yeah, like, it's so simple, but a lot of people don't do it. But it's effective, and clearly proof in the pudding when you've done this. So you've built your community. Before we go on, let's take a step backwards, because I know we've kind of talked about the project, but what is it? Like, tell me about AfroChicks. What do you get with it? Is it utility? Is it a piece of art? Is there anything else to come after that? You buy that piece of art and NFT?
Yeah, so AfroChicks, it's a one-of-one collection. It's celebrating Afro hair, and each one has been hand-drawn by me. And you can also get custom ones as well. So if you want, so somebody made one for the wife the other day as well, for Mother's Day. So I do all sorts of customs, different hairstyle, dreadlocks, everything. And what makes my project really unique is that when I compete, I wear an AfroChick owned by someone. To say thank you to them for supporting, and that really builds that sense of connection and community. So that's something that really draws people in. I do shout outs to the holders, because as my following's growing on Twitter, it's kind of helping my holders who have projects to get involved. I hold spaces, but yeah, I'm just really embedded into the community. But if you want to get in your hands on a diverse project, with a really nice sort of community, I think, yeah, it's a good one to go with. But because it's a one-of-one project, I think it's a little bit different than the 10K collections, because I literally know every single holder. Like, I do the shout outs, I do a video shout out, and it's just a different relationship with an athlete. They really get to follow my journey, each competition. So yeah, I really enjoyed it. I've been doing it for 6 months now. And I'm just excited.
I love that, man. Like, it's created a little family of support, isn't it? Like, and like, I think NFTs, once again, it creates that it enables you to create that deeper connection with a group of people, whether it's your audience, your community. And as an athlete, I haven't seen any athletes do that. I mean, you may have the kind of Arsenal and the team, you get access to me, like a short video, or you may meet and greet and I shake your hands. But if it's following along your journey, and with how good you are, they say sky's the limit. We go to the Olympics, you win the gold medal, and all the AfroChicks are there supporting you and cheering you on. Like that, it's just a story within itself, and that's priceless, because that's a moment that can't be created anywhere else. So yeah, I love that idea, man. I love it. So are you thinking about potentially creating a PFP project down the line?
Yeah, I think what I really wanted to do is just make sure I understand it, make sure I understand the community. I didn't just want to hop in and be like, 10K piece, like I'm out, collect the coins and I'm out. No, I wanted to actually get to know who are the people invested in the project. Like you asked, why do people want to invest?
Yeah.
And what value can I bring to them? What can I do in this space to really make a difference? Not just, success isn't just money, success is so much more than that. So that's kind of why I didn't want to jump straight into that. But if the demand's high, at the same time, I can't be it's really hand drawing. I've done 170 so far. So to get the 10K hand drawn, it's going to take a while. So, realistically, it probably will start to go down that route in the future. But I just wanted people to know that I'm legit. I'm not an athlete just popping in and then, all right, season started. Bye, guys. No, I'm here and I'm here to stay.
So what about, now you're doing this, and have you got interest from like brands now based on the success with your NFT project? Obviously, brands wanting to get into NFTs. We see Adidas, we see Nike in NFTs already. So have you had interest and been approached? It's so ironic, isn't
it? Yes, I've had interest. And it's just interesting because it's making me stand out now as an athlete. So me as Naomi, the triple jumper, it was kind of like, but me as this Web3, the project owner, suddenly, there's so much more interest, so many more conversations that I've never had before being had, and pitch decks and all this type of thing, which I'm not used to. But no, it's really exciting, and I'm just looking forward to the future.
Okay, can you give us any sneak peeks? Can you the potentials? Maybe the concept, like you don't have to say if you can say who you're working with, that'd be great. Or if you can say the kind of things potentially that can happen. I mean, do you see potentially merch, clothing?
Yeah, there'll be merch. There'll be merch down the line. There'll be merch. There'll be more utility for holders. Yeah, let's say that. More utility, more little discounts here and there, things like that. But I don't want to give too much away. The announcements will be announced. But yeah, there's things happening.
All right, so that's happened. You've entered the Web3 space. You've had success. You're building the community. You've got great intentions. Like moving forward, what other things have you got in the pipeline? I mean, away from AfroChicks, are you thinking about how can I use this to help others? Yeah.
So the first thing that I really wanted to do was make donations to sports organizations which have helped me. So the first donation I made was to the Lloyd Cohen Bursary, and Lloyd Cohen was a coach. He coached Christina Horogu and other GB legends, but he passed away from COVID. So there was a foundation made in his name that helps unfunded athletes and coaches that need support as well. So that was like my first donation was to them. There's been Sports Aid, which have helped me, which is another charity, and the Ron Pickering Foundation. So these are ones that I want to help, charities. And then I also, very, very soon, I'm going to sponsor my first athlete. So I'm really excited about that.
Is that with AfroChicks then?
That's AfroChicks, yeah.
Okay,
so I've gone from me losing my sponsor to being able to actually support another athlete. So that's in the works as well, which I'm really excited about.
So what's the response? I mean, obviously you've got friends that are athletes, potentially in the same position, even the ones that have got sponsors. They're seeing what you're doing. What kind of conversations are being had in the changing rooms?
I think a lot of it's just like you're just changing the game, and I think that's a lot of the time. There's a lot of frustration, like, oh, I've lost my sponsor. Naomi, are you still sponsored? I'm like, nah, but I'm okay. And they're like, how? Because there's so much stress, and there's not a lot of innovation sometimes. So when they see what I'm doing, I think it does inspire people to think outside the box a little bit more. And people are like, how can I do this? How can I get into Web3 and NFTs, or can I buy one, or can you make one that looks like me? So there's interest in different ways, but I think it's definitely inspiring because a lot of athletes they kind of focus so much on the sport but not focus on life after sport and life outside of sport, which is something that I'm really been passionate about from the beginning. So I think a lot of people are excited but also thinking, she's bonkers, how is she fitting all this in with the training?
It is, well, you're making it work, you're making it happen. And I know that the NFT space moves quite fast. For you to be a part of it and be involved with so many things, you definitely put in the work in. But I guess it's something that like I said, you're passionate about it, so you're well invested. You mentioned there, Naomi, about after athlete? I mean, we're talking about people coming up as athletes trying to get sponsorships, but what about athletes that get injured halfway through the career, or athletes are just like unless they've had a very, very successful career, what do they do after? Like, is that something that is not talked about, that athletes may need support in that way?
Yeah, I think British athletics are doing a good job of putting on workshops and getting people in, putting in internships and things to help athletes. But because a lot of athletes are so focused on this current career, it's hard for them to take that time out and think, if I do this 1 week internship, is it going to take away from my training? I do think a lot more athletes need to think about it, because success in athletics just it's not guaranteed. Even if you work super hard, a freak injury can happen and be career ending. So I do think it's very important for athletes to look beyond the sport. But I'm hoping that I can at least start to encourage more people to think, look, you can succeed in athletics and do things outside it. And I know that once I finish athletics, like, I'm confident that I'll have a big career elsewhere. But a lot of other athletes haven't really developed those skills. Maybe they went to uni, then past uni, they've not done anything. So I really want to encourage more athletes to get involved in other things.
Yeah. So what away from athletes, this talk like family members and friends, like, and that's them conversations. I mean, do they understand? If so, like, I mean, I always say, how would you explain to your parents what an NFT is? Like,
I'm still trying. I'm still trying to explain to them. No, my mum's got her head around it. She follows me on Twitter. She's always messaging me and things like that. Somebody, Snoop Dogg, did a tweet saying, I'm buying NFTs. What should I buy? So then I tweeted saying an AfroChick, and my mum texted me straight away, who's Snoop Dogg and did he buy one? I'm thinking, wow, we've got a long way to go. But with my dad, he couldn't wrap his head around somebody just buying a JPEG or a GIF. He just couldn't wrap his head around it. But I think he's starting to understand it now, especially when I started wearing it on my kit. And then to show him, look, this blockchain ID here, this is a digital receipt. This is showing, this is actual proof that somebody owns this AfroChick that I'm wearing. And I think that helped him get his head around it a little bit, but it's a bit hard sometimes to explain it. But my family are very supportive, and they can see how much it's helped with my athletics journey tangibly. So I think that they at least know that it's successful, but they might not understand all the technology.
They might not understand it all. So yeah. I mean, I guess they're gonna be real confused when we start talking about things like the metaverse and whatnot. What's your thoughts on that? And are you thinking about how you can incorporate what you're doing and how this could work potentially in the metaverse? How would that look? Is that something that needs to be implemented in regards to what you're doing?
Oh, I'm not thought too much about the metaverse, but with all the conversations, especially with Twitter Spaces, I'd love to have it in a way that's more interactive. So I love the idea of showcasing works in a gallery, and then also having a feature so people can talk to each other, and maybe artists coming in and explaining the work within the gallery. Because my work has been in the African Museum of the Metaverse, so I got to go there and experience that, and it is really really cool. I haven't got my headset yet, but I need to get one of those. But, I haven't really thought of more ways to incorporate the metaverse, but I really love the galleries so far.
Well, I think the metaverse is very similar to like the whole gaming industry, and I've played games, and sports games are very popular. So maybe that's an angle potentially. Like, you could look into potentially contacting a game company, sporting company that's potentially getting into the NFT space, and you could probably put your merch on there, or have your own team on that game potentially. That could be a way into it. Another thing that I've had conversations with other people is, what I think is really interesting, is tokenizing behavior. So being rewarded for your efforts. So you've been mentioning, okay, then there's a lot of athletes that put their blood, sweat, and tears into their craft, and they dedicate themselves into doing something. And it'd be good if there was some kind of reward for that, financial reward, to make them keep going, you know what I mean, and keep them on a straight and narrow, and not be distracted by other things. Is that something you've thought about, or any conversation potentially? Or if you haven't, what's your thoughts?
No, I think that's a really good idea, especially with the tokens. Yeah, I'm not thought deeply into it, but yeah, we need to speak again. We definitely need to speak again, because you're always coming with more ideas, and I'm just like, how? No, I think it's something I want to I think that's a really good thing to look into for sure, but I'm going to need to research.
Time.
Need to do my homework.
Apart from obviously creating NFTs, and I know you bought your first NFT. Have you bought any other NFTs after that?
Yeah, I've bought quite a few. It's mainly women-led projects which I've bought into.
Why is that? I mean, not stating the obvious, but is that something you're passionate about?
Yeah, I think because even when I've been to some in real life meetups, there's been, a handful of women there. And I really think we need to have equality and inclusivity in the space. And it's good that you're doing this, featuring me on the podcast and hopefully widening other people's sort of horizons there. But I just want to be with more like-minded individuals and with women-led projects. I just sort of resonate with them, with the artwork or with the benefits or the communities. So that's kind of why I've bought into women-led projects. Okay. But I mean, I don't discriminate, of course.
No. You should buy what you like in it, and it doesn't matter whether it's a women project, it could be an ape project, anything. You know what I mean? So what? Tell me that. Can you mention any of them and the ones you want to kind of point out? Say like this, I really bought this because I really resonated with this project. Have you got any?
Yeah, so one's called the Clinic NFT. Right. It's created by a black woman from America who is really passionate about mental health. So the reason why I wanted to join it was because within the Discord, from anxiety to grief, there was literal, channels for each one. So if you're feeling away, you can just go in there and chat to people who are feeling the same. And that connection is something that, couldn't get it on Instagram and things like that. But to have that, it's been really helpful. So I've really resonated with that project.
Well, I like that. And something so simple, like an NFT doesn't have to be something particularly everything going on, pictures and all stuff. I see that NFT is like a representation and a gateway to a community that you can connect to on these, talking about these different things. And you can wave the flag on your Twitter and whatnot, saying you're a part of this community. And then it's so amazing, it's so effective. I like projects like that. And how big is the community at the moment? Is it quite big, or is it just...
Yeah, it's quite big. I can't remember the exact number, but it must be, I don't know. There's thousands in the Discord. Okay. I don't know the exact number, but yeah.
All right, that's really interesting. Any other projects?
A lot of one artists who I've sort of bought into to support as well. So one is one of my friends. Well, I say she's one of my friends. I've known her just through NFTs, never met her in real life. She's called Rika. She's a fine artist. Her Twitter's Nubianism. And she hand draws with like a graphite pencil all these NFTs. And she started off as a fine artist, as selling prints. And then she actually now has quit her job. She was working as making prosthetics for amputees. That's how art was sort of being used, which is amazing. But her passion's always been these pencil drawings and fine art. So she's got into the NFT space and she's been thriving. So that's somebody who I really vouch for as well. Yeah. And one more is
I love it, man. I love it. Let's talk about the people. I want to kind of highlight talk to different people. We tap into different spaces. People doing amazing things, successful stories I don't even hear about. So it's good to share, man. So thank you.
Yeah, another is Take Up Space, which is it's the kind of the aim of it is to onboard 10,000 BIPOC and LGBTQI plus community. So even before they started minting, they were doing courses. They onboarded somebody called Vanshika, an Indian NFT artist, and she's literally eight NFTs of selling out a whole project. So that's the sort of impacts that they've had. They're doing a Web3 handbook. They've collaborated with MoonPay. And that's kind of one that I'm really thinking is gonna do really well. But it's very utility based. They've done tokens and rewarding people who sort of complete the courses. So that's good on Take Up Space.
Okay, I like that. And that one thing you talked about is I found very funny is that the Web3 space, we create like these friendships. People don't say it's possible. You create these online friendships, and when you go to these in real life events, you see people checking their phones, match with the DP, like, is that person? I mean, I was at an event the other day, and somebody came up to me and said, "Are you Chris?" I was like, "No, I'm not Chris." Did you look at the picture again? It isn't me. Yeah. But I just find it very bizarre, man, because you speak to these people a lot, like sometimes every day, and you have long, thoughtful conversations, and you don't meet them for maybe months. like people across the sea, like across the pond, and it's good to find it when you actually meet them and you feel that connection. So have you managed to meet anybody yet that you been speaking to online in real life?
Yeah, so I went to my first NFT meetup. I think it was 2 weeks ago now in Liverpool, and I was literally on a space with one girl called Benita, and we've been speaking like every day, probably for the past sort of 2 months. So on the space in the morning, and by the evening, I met her in real life, and it was just like she literally ran over and gave me a hug, and I was like, oh my gosh! Like imagine it was awkward. I'm like speaking to you all day, and it's awkward when we meet, but it wasn't. She was lovely, so that was really nice. And another one called Mike is somebody who I've been catching up with probably on a weekly basis. And he had his NFT logo on his jumper, so very easy to spot. So yeah, it was really nice to meet up with them. We were able to chat all things NFTs, because in real life, you know, I try talking about NFTs with my friends, and they're kind of like, okay, let's
put that away now.
So being around those people within the space in real life was amazing. So I hope I can go to more meetups. I know you've got some coming up and things, so I'm excited to meet more people in real life.
Yeah, I love that. So is there anything, I want to tap into your mind, is there anything out there that NFT wise or industry wise that you think that you're really looking forward to? How, like, whether it's the entertainment industry or fashion, or I don't know, like, is it beauty potentially? I'm not sure how it would work, but is there anything you're thinking about? I'm really excited for NFTs to kind of enter this industry.
Yeah, I think it's the fashion I'm really excited about, because when I did go into I've not been deep into all the things you can do in the metaverse, but when I went to the galleries, my sort of avatar was just a plain gray sort of figure. So I'm thinking I'm really excited for when the avatar can start to really represent me. People can, you know, go crazy with it, and how these NFTs can start to come within the metaverse. So that's what I'm really excited about. See these fashion brands coming in and having in real life sort of that physical and digital sort of combination. That's what I'm excited for.
Okay, fair enough. So, and another thing is, what's the weirdest thing you've seen so far, like within the space? A lot of weird things selling or NFTs. What's the weirdest thing that you think? I don't know
if you've seen these goblins yet. Have you seen these goblins?
Oh my god! So listen. So yeah, I mean, I've heard they're going into the spaces, and they're just like talking like goblins. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. Great guerrilla marketing. Like. So yeah. Tell me, like, what's your experience?
So the weirdest ones I've seen is probably the goblins, when I went on the space and they were just growling at each other for a good 2 hours. Wow. And the second one is another new project. I think it's called like We Are Gonna Die, and they're just burning NFTs. They're just burning ETH as a sacrifice. Wow. So that's a bit strange. Okay. And I don't know if it's marketing, I don't know, but people are buying the NFTs, buying mutant apes, and then just burning them. Literally just sending them a burn wallet, and that's their utility. Is that the utility? I don't know, but that's the strangest things I'm seeing.
All right, okay, very interesting to see how that. I mean, the thing I've seen is close to that is like Bert Banksy, when they bought the Banksy piece of art and they performed as a piece of art and they burnt the Banksy piece. Yeah. Then they created the NFT and sold it for more than the original.
Wow. So
that was kind of a statement.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, I don't know why you had to burn the Banksy piece, but I understand it's a piece of art. Yeah. Right. So, but then, yeah, like buying NFTs and burning them. Yeah, well, I don't know. I mean, we might find that in the future.
Yeah.
Okay, so before we round it up, Naomi, I want to kind of tap into your mind again. The question I always ask at the end of each podcast is, I want you to describe to me how you see the world in the next, say, moving forward 10 years, moving forward. You wake up in the morning, where are NFTs? Where are we using, how are we using the metaverse in your everyday life? So I want you to, from you wake up in the morning, your alarm goes off, what kind of things are going on and how are you using
it? 10 years, well, it could be, gosh, honestly, it's hard to imagine, but I guess you wake up, you put on your headset in the metaverse, and then you go for a jog. You do your exercise of the day whilst being like all digitally. You meet up with your friends there, and then you come off. And then in real life, you go to the shops. You can buy things with NFTs. You can buy things with crypto. It's the norm. There's lots more sort of in real life meetups that you can do now that you're part of all these communities. So instead of being bored at home, not knowing how to make friends as an adult, you suddenly like, right, I've got this avatar party coming up, and then one in the metaverse, one in real life event happening. Concerts will be bought with crypto and NFTs. You know, I can just see
What
it.
does the sports industry look like? I think that's more particular. Like, I mean, curious to see what you think. What does the sports industry look like, and how are they using NFTs?
Oh, so all the football teams are sponsored now by NFT projects. They're sponsored by Web3 companies. Athletes are no longer struggling because there's an NFT project going around for everyone to be sponsored by. Athletes are making their own projects. They're doing, you know, as you said, the meet and greets. That's become a norm now. You're meeting Ronaldo for coffee in the metaverse. And I just think it'll be hopefully a better distribution of wealth. That middleman sort of having to go through an agent, and then this person is cut out, and it's brands speaking directly to athletes, and you know, that sort of financial freedom for more athletes and for more people. That's what I'd love to see in 10 years' time.
Yeah, I love that, and I love that. It's a great end, like just thinking about how things can look, and it's positive, and it's great intention, and it'll be helping everybody. So I would love to see that too, also. So thank you for coming on, Naomi. Like, where can anyone find you if they want to collaborate, if they want to potentially partner with you in regards to what's going on and reach out in that aspect, or just help and support what you're doing? Where's the best place to find you?
Yeah, so I'm on LinkedIn. My name's Naomi Metzger. And my Twitter that I'm on now the most is AfroChicks NFT. So you can find all the updates and links to the OpenSea and everything that I've got planned on there. So that's the best place to find me.
Love that. Well, everybody, please go follow Naomi and go support all the great things she's doing, because she's not only helping herself, she's helping others, and that's great. I look for the space and help to help the space grow. So continue doing great things, Naomi. So everyone, thank you for listening and watching. Everyone stay listening and stay blessed.